Welcome to another Todd's
2-Minute Tech Tip Tuesday.
Brought to you by the National RV Training Academy, the only academy that gives you the credentials to become a certified tech and/or certified inspector. So this week on What Is It? Let's talk about the Surburban Water Heater. Now, I know that we've already done a video at least talking about how to replace your anode rod on the Surburban Water Heater. If you want to find out more about that, click the link right there. Let's dig a little bit deeper into the Surburban Water Heater to find out what is that. All right, we're going to look at the black cases. I've got two black cases. I've got a square black case, and below I've got kind of an oblong black case. If I take that black case off, I actually reveal this is where our heating element is. This is our electric heating element. This is what a new one looks like right here, okay? This is one that has been calcified. This is what it looks like, well used. All right, now, granted, different sizes, but this is actually what's inside here. The reason for the black case that we have there's 120 volts going there. So guys, handle this with care whenever you take this off. Make sure you turn off the 120 volts to your water heater. Now, if you notice with the Surburban Water Heater, you do have a handy dandy little on-off switch. So make sure that that is in the off position before you take this case off. And this is where you actually locate your water heater heating element. Next, we'll actually look at our next black case, and what we have over here, this little square here, well, this is where our thermostat discs are. So let's think about this. If I have heat going to the water that's inside, I need to turn that heat off for, whenever we get to a certain temperature. Well, behind here, I've got some thermostat discs. Here we go. There we go. Childproof. You'll see I have some thermostat discs. All right, I have a high temperature limit switch, and then right above that, I've got what's called an ECO, or an emergency cutoff switch. Guys, they're both discs that are just simply checking the temperature of my tank. Inside, or underneath this styrofoam here, is just the simple steel tank, and those discs simply sit on those tanks, and they're just checking the temperature. Once it reaches roughly about 140 degrees, we send the signal back over to the circuit board, and it simply says we are hot enough. Turn the heating element off, whether it be the heating element or using our propane. Okay. We have a safety on the Surburban. We have what is called a high temperature limit switch. That's the first one. The second one with this little disc right here, that's just an emergency cutoff. So once it reaches roughly around 190, real close to 200 degrees, that one will pop. Now, if that one pops, you're not resetting it, okay? We need to find out what's going on. But that's what's behind here. This is what actually regulates the temperature. No, you can't change the temperature. It's set at 140 degrees by those discs. So that's what's behind here. Now over here we have our our burner assembly. So we have our propane coming in. All water heaters in the RV space are propane. Some water heaters are both propane and electric. So over here, of course, we have our burner assembly with our solenoid gas valve. Simply either opens or closes, allows the propane to go through. So if we want to run on propane, sends that signal over to our solenoid. Solenoid opens up and says, let the propane go on through. You'll see what it looks like, if you actually in your car or something like that, this looks like actually I take that back, actually on your lawnmower. This looks like a spark plug boot, and that's pretty much what it is. This is our igniter, and what it does is it's going to take that 12-volt signal and ramp it up to 20,000 volts. Sends that through there, and it creates a little arc, and that arc is sitting right in front of that propane gas coming through there. I got the air gas mixture coming through here, goes across that arc, kaboom, there's our flame. So that's what we have inside here. Last thing we want to look at real quick, this valve right here. Looks like a little faucet. This is what we call a P&T valve. That's just our pressure and temperature valve, and I'll leave it up to you to let you figure out what it's actually regulating. All right. So if we get up to a certain amount of temperature, which is roughly around 200 degrees, 210 degrees, 200 degrees, somewhere around there, this will open up. All right, I've got some pressure, a spring in there as well. So if I get to about 150 PSI, this will begin to leak. If yours is leaking, there's a couple things we want to look at, okay? It could be that this is getting old, but before you replace it, what we want to do is restore the air gap in here, okay? Because we're heating up water, we're creating some gases, and so we need to leave room for that expansion. All right, so what we need to do in the event that yours is leaking, here's your tech tip. Turn off the power to your water heater. Don't let it heat up anymore. Now, if you need to speed things up, you can go over to your hot water faucet, open up your hot water faucet. What will happen is hot water will come out, cold water begins to come back in. Once that temperature reaches cold, inside your faucet or whatnot, cut off the hot water. All right, now you're gonna go outside and either turn off your pump if you're running on your own water, or if you're on the city, go over to the spigot, turn it off. Basically, we're cutting the water supply to our water tank. Now you're gonna come over to the side over here where this P&T valve is. Now, I'll direct you on where you stand. Don't stand in front of it, because there's 150 PSI, and when we open that valve, we're gonna get water all over the place. So just simply stand to the side, and all you have to do is just tap on that. You're gonna have a burst of water come out, and then you're gonna hear air get sucked back in. Get sucked back in, what happens is you restored your air gap. Close that off, and let's see if it stops leaking. If it stops leaking, well, you don't have to replace it, okay? If it still continues to leak, then you could have worn out the seal in there, and so now it's time to replace. All right, so let's say you're coming over and you're looking at your boot here, and not your boot that you wear, but of course the boot that goes over the igniter, and you see that it's all charred, okay? If it is charred, then more than likely, you've been driving down the road with your water heater on, right? So I know that it's not illegal, but I'm one of the only people out there that will tell you, you were foolish by driving down the road with your propane on. If your propane is on while you're going down the road, then that means you've got a flame somewhere. Now let's think about this. You got your RV running 70 miles an hour down the road. You're gonna have air flying by the outside on here, and it's going to pull the air inside our tank out, which means that flame comes out. And if that flame comes out, it'll char that boot. Please, oh please, I know it's convenient, but please do not drive down the road with your propane on, much less have your water heater on. It takes roughly 15 minutes to heat up your water, 15 to 20 minutes. You do not need to have your water heater on while you're going down the road. So stay tuned, because the next couple tech tips that we're actually doing, and what is that? We'll follow right along with all the other appliances. Next one, it may be that I'll look at the Atwood water heater, kind of point out some things. After that, we'll go into refrigerators, air conditioners, jump into a little bit of slide outs, maybe, just maybe, we'll do some roofs. And there's your tech tip. If you want to be able to fix the majority of the problems on your rig, well, let's say you want to open up a business, become a certified inspector or a certified RV technician, head over to our website at nrvta.com, click on programs, and get started today. Right? Actually, I even talk about the anode rod and when to replace those by looking at this. Whoops. Hello, so this is what I'm talking about. But let's dig a little bit deeper. Yep, here, there.
It'd be your left hand.
How about if I did this?
Well, it's that way.